Hey guys.
everybody. How's it going out there? Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. I'm Joe. And you know that guy?
Who?
You, man. Who are
Oh
you?
yeah, you is joining us today. You probably can't hear you, but um, I guess we're just waiting for him. When is he supposed to show up?
You know, that's a really good question. Um, I guess I'm not the producer, so I don't know. I just show up and do the show.
Oh yeah, I know what I know how that is. They're like, hey, you're the host of the show. We're not gonna tell you the information. Just go up there and own it. They're like, okay, I got it. I got this. Hey guys, I'm Static P, as you know, also known as Ryan. Of course, all of you know that. So thanks for joining us today, though.
Yes, because it's Don't Worry Wednesday, the Wednesday edition.
Where you don't worry.
Where you don't worry on Wednesday. Yes. And you guys know the drill. This is a show where we handle any challenges, problems, or issues you might be going through. You feel free to just post them in the chat or post them on our website. I know Princess already posted the link, but I will post it again here momentarily. So you can post it right directly there. You can also email us at dww@bss.studio. It's dww@bss.studio. Or you can find us on Discord. When you email us or direct message us in Discord, we will keep it anonymous if you'd like us to. Just feel free to let us know that in the message that you'd like to remain anonymous. We'd be happy to handle it on the show. So anyway, we are not professional therapists or counselors or anything like that. We just want to be your friend. We want to pull up alongside you, help you in any way we can, offer some love and encouragement and friendship and just some support along the way. A lot of times we know you're smart enough to figure out a lot of these things on your own, but sometimes we get blinded by the issue itself. There's just too much bombarding us at one time and we can't sort through it all. Sometimes it helps to have somebody just take a look at it with a fresh perspective and offer some of that. But we know you guys can do it. We know you guys can do a lot. And we're super impressed with all of you guys. We have such a great community here in the chat room. You guys are just amazing with how much you support each other and love each other and, you know, just chime in with helpful comments and everything in there. So our producer is Jesse. You guys probably know him. If you don't, you should, because he's awesome. Yeah. And our chat room hostess is Princess. Thank you, Princess, for everything you do. She keeps us on track. And Cody also. Cody, you do a lot to keep us on track there as well. We don't quite have the official title for you yet, but you're there helping a lot. So random question from Jack. Can I change my username on bss.studio? That's a really good question. And it's one for Jesse because he kind of knows the stuff. Jesse, I don't know if you want to type a response in the chat for Jack. He says you sure can.
Sure can. Jack, that might be something you can do on your own without anybody else's help. But if you do need help doing it, just ask somebody on the site. Maybe send a support ticket. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. You can talk to Jesse here. Jesse's can definitely lead you through it.
Yeah, that's actually a legitimate reason to start a support ticket. Most of the reasons I start support tickets are not legitimate. So
I would say that support tickets are for bugs and errors. Other than that, I don't start a support ticket.
Oh,
but that's fair. That's fair.
There's a stink bug crawling up the wall. Do I start a support ticket?
Yes.
You now said it's for bugs.
Yes, you now have a legitimate reason to start a support ticket. If you have a bug, then you can support. Yeah, you need support.
Jesse, help me! I have a bug.
Bug. Oh, support. Send backup.
That is awesome. Well, we have quite a queue here of topics. I know we got a lot of you guys here.
Yeah, Keaton, if she shows up, we would love to do hers. Hopefully Anna will show up. That'd be great.
Yeah. So let's see. I'll I'll just name off some names here. We've got Angel, we've got Uni. I believe we handled Uni. I'd have to look back there. I have to look back through our older episodes from the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But we've got Dead. We've got a few from Akil. We've got Master Lay, Satura, Cherry. I see Cherry's here. We also have Vay, Amira, Anna, and Keaton said that Anna will be here later if we get to hers. I saw Jack here, Kendra, Haley, and Cody. So, yes. And I think, yes, roll call. If you heard your name, feel free to say, hey, I'm here. But yeah, we have quite a few topics, and it looks like from the people who are here, all right. Haley says she can't stay. She's got to be somewhere at 7. I'm not sure what time zone you're in.
Yeah, I haven't a clue, but if you have to, I would have to guess Central or Western, because it's already 7 for
it's beyond 7.
Wait, so I mean Mountain Time or Western, because it's already Central's already 7, so
Mountain Standard. Okay.
Mountain Time. Cool.
All right, 2 hours behind. So then it's okay. So it's 6:19. Right on. All right. Well, we do have a few in front of Haley's. We have Cherries and Vase, and I see that they are both here. If either of you would not object, since Haley won't be able to be here on Friday, would anybody object to us handling Haley's? Even if it's fairly recent.
Just put caps lock on and write objection, and then put press shift and 1 a bunch of times, and then press enter if you don't want Haley's to go.
Oh, and Haley says we don't have to cover hers. So you guys are so nice to each other. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Because that's one of the things, when we're hosting this show, we're always like, we should handle it yesterday.
Nice. Perfect, Cherry. Perfect execution.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna make the decision because I'm the actual host of the show right now.
That's the thing about being
We're gonna handle Haley's. She says it can wait another week. Well, or we can do it now. So we're gonna do Haley's, and hopefully we can get through it before she takes off. I imagine we can. And then Cherry, you're next in line. So
Keaton, way to be on the ball with responses. Seriously.
Yes, there's already a response on here from Keaton. That's awesome. So here's the. Oh, Princess, did you already post a link to Haley's topic? Looks like she did.
That's probably what that is. And that is a yes. Yep.
All right. Oh, Haley, you're awesome. All right. So this comes from Haley. It's called Be a Light. And it says, am I still able to be a light for people? Am I still able to reach people as I did before? What kind of person am I right now? Who have I become? These are questions that keep coming back to me. I taught myself to stop suppressing my problems, and through the process, I've also begun to stop suppressing my thoughts, feelings, opinions, wants, etc. However, I feel like this has made me a worse person than before. I find myself being more selfish these days, and I'm now looking at myself as well as others. But am I even still looking at others? All I've ever wanted is to help people, but I don't know if I can do that anymore. Am I being positive enough like I used to be? Can I still find those who need help? I feel like I'm not as kind as before. I feel like my empathy is fading. I used to be extremely empathetic. A friend could tell me what was going on, and I would know exactly how they felt. I'd know exactly what to say, but these days I feel as though I'm at a loss for words. I used to know just what to say, and now I feel like I don't know anything. One day, my mom came into my room in tears. In the past, I've given her advice. I've known just what to say to her and just how to help her. So, remembering this, she came into my room crying and told me what she was going through or what was going on. She seemed so broken and she asked me for advice. Yet, I couldn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. Why did I fail her? Why did my words fail me when I needed them, when she needed them? I used to be able to see through any masks. I've always been able to tell when something is wrong with someone. But these days, it's like my vision is shrouded in a cloud of darkness. Is it because I began looking at myself like I was told to? You can't help others before you help yourself. That's what people keep telling me. But what if it's the other way around? Maybe I should go back to suppressing everything for the sake of others. I want my light back. I want my kindness back. I want my empathy and compassion back. I want to help others. Do you have any advice, thoughts, opinions, etc., that you could share? If I may be so selfish as to ask. And that's from Haley. Haley, it's not selfish to ask about this. I know that you may feel like you're being selfish by, doing some introspection and looking at yourself from time to time. But the truth of the matter is, you do need to, keep yourself on an even keel in order to help others. Um, and sometimes it's good to not suppress things in order to be truly yourself. So with that, I'm gonna hand it off to Ryan and see what he's got to say. He's really good at this kind of stuff anyway. So
All right.
I'm sure he'll say something awesome.
You're awesome. There you go. That was my one thing that's gonna be awesome. Now the rest of this, we'll see. Um, no. Haley, you're the fact that you worry about whether you are being selfish or if you're um, being a light to others around you and etc. tells me a lot about where your heart and intentions are, and it shows me that you're automatically kind of basically on the right path to being a kind and charitable person. Um, you know, I think there's a balance here that you have to aim for. You see, if you're driving, for example, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a little bit too far to the left on this road. I need to, go to the right. So you turn the wheel to the right, but you overcorrect. You're gonna go off the road.
Mm.
You have to, and then you have to turn left again to get back on the road, and then try to stay back where you're supposed to be. And I feel like maybe that's what you're going through right now. What you've probably done is, you've had this a situation where you needed to correct it, mentally, where you're like, okay, I'm kind of driving on the line. I need to get over back into my lane, and so you make the correction while you're driving, whatever, in this metaphor, and you go off the road a little bit because you turn a little bit too hard, and now you just have to um, get back on the road, make that correction, and figure out the balance there. In life, there's a lot of balancing that you have to do. I mean, we've talked about this briefly before, but you don't, everyone knows they're not supposed to be selfish, right? It's like you don't want to be called selfish. That's not a valuable thing, right? But on the other end is something called selfless. You don't want to be selfless either. A lot of people can think of selfless as a good thing, but it's not. You don't want to be selfless. You have to pay attention to yourself and build yourself up so that you can be strong for others around you. The key here is to be charitable. It's that balanced line in between selfish and selfless. It's humble. Having humility and being humble is another balanced line in between the two. Understanding your place in the world and how you are just as valuable as everybody around you, and how to treat that appropriately. So I think that you're already on the right track. If this is something that you're discovering about yourself, you're like, okay, I'm not being as empathetic as I used to be, or I'm not being as giving as I used to be, or I, I'm realizing that I'm not thinking about others as much as I used to, or, being on top of solving other people's problems and that sort of thing. Then it sounds like if you're thinking that, then you're probably already putting yourself in the direction of change, because that's going to affect your focus and your habits going forward already. But on that note, I will say this. One of the things that you said here was that you used to be able to help people. But now a lot of times your answer seems to be like, you don't know what to say to help people. And as weird as this is going to sound, I'm going to tell you that that's probably a good thing. Because, well, of course, you want to get to that point where you can help people again, right? For sure. You want to get to that point where you know the answers so you can help people. But this position where you're in now, sometimes, actually, you'll hear this a lot. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. The more you realize, like, okay, I now know this, and then you go and you venture out more. A child who has learned little, for some reason, seems to think that he's learned or she has learned a lot, and can give you a lot of answers for everything. But before they get to that point, they realize they know nothing and they ask why, or how does that work? And it's funny because we go from the stage of how does that work to, oh, I know everything. And then finally we go to the third stage, which is, oh, there's a lot to know and I don't know everything. We kind of go back and forth between these stages, right? In life, we actually just keep on going back and forth between these stages. There's this constant, I know a lot and now I don't know anything. And now I know a lot and now I don't know anything. So what's interesting is when we don't feel like we know stuff is when we learn the most. When we don't have the answers for things, that's when we learn the most. So right now you're in a position where your mind should be at least open for learning, because right now is where you're going to learn a lot. And then you're going to be able to take that forward and give people better advice than you used to be able to, even though your advice before was probably good and it's what they needed to hear. Now, fate would have it that you're going to learn even more, so that your advice and so that your empathy and so on can better treat people than it could in the past. So I'm gonna kind of just end what I had to say right there. Let Joe carry this through. So yeah.
Well,
Hopefully
that is so right. I mean, you think about what Ryan was just saying. I mean, I know that's the case in just about everything I do. The more I learn, the more I get better at something, the more I realize I know very little, and there's still so much to learn. And it goes along with as far as helping people. I mean, I've spent a great deal of time helping people solve problems. That's kind of what I've done for years, where, in different business ventures that I've been a part of, where I was working with other people, a big part of that was, sitting down with people and helping them solve problems, different issues that might be happening, and to be able to look at it and kind of piece it together. But the more I've done that, the more I realize I'm just like, oh my gosh, do I really know anything? I mean, I'm just looking at this and I'm like, and that's why I said at the beginning, I feel like people are probably smart enough to figure a lot of these things out on their own. It just helps to have somebody there to kind of bounce the ideas off of and help clarify the thought process a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So Haley, for you, I think, you've been through some interesting times since I've met you about a year ago. We've been doing this almost a year now. Ryan and I think
Wow.
the first one we did, this is like this marks month 11 that we've been doing this show. So, and I think you were there from the beginning, Haley.
I think so.
So Yeah, I feel like I've known you for about a year, and in that year, I've seen a lot of things happen in your life. I think there was a divorce
Mhm.
with your parents, and so there have been some challenges that you've faced, and going through all that um, can definitely, you know, darken our spirit to some degree, especially um, if in those challenges we feel like we've been wounded by other people. And so then when we get hurt by other people, we put up the walls to defend ourselves so we don't get hurt again. And what happens then is the walls block us from being true to others and to ourselves, really. And so when we have those walls of defense built up, we no longer are able to see as clearly the feelings of others. We're just not able to experience, what's going on as fully because we have this barrier in the
Mhm.
way. And the only way to break those barriers down is through forgiveness, through figuring out, through going back to those moments of being wounded, and and then forgiving the person in that moment, asking God to forgive them, and moving on from there, and then being at peace and just letting go of those situations. Now, some of these situations that you've been through, these are ongoing painful experiences that can happen. I have met so many people that are the children of divorced parents, and I can only imagine. I'm fortunate enough to not have been through that. Ryan has, so he understands the pain involved with that as being a child of a divorced situation. But um, the only thing I can tell you, I know that there are times, I don't know if suppression is the correct word, but when you're trying to help others, um, maybe you feel like you suppress who you are, maybe you feel like you suppress your thoughts and feelings while you're trying to help other people. But just because you're focusing on that other person and their issues, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're suppressing your own. It just means you're focused on them. And it's definitely good when someone's bringing an issue to you or talking to you about something to focus on them and to focus on what you can do to help them. And that, you know, that can be one of the most therapeutic things you can do. It's one of the reasons Ryan and I talk after we get done with these streams on Wednesdays and Fridays, and we talk. We're like, man, this is like the best time of my week
Mhm.
to do this show. And it's because it takes our mind off of ourselves and our own issues and problems and all that kind of stuff. And it helps us to focus on helping other people. And that does such amazingly wonderful things for you in your heart, in your mind, when you can take your mind off yourself and focus on helping another person through their problems. But that's a little bit different than suppressing yourself. So if that's what you mean when you say suppression, if what you're talking about there is just focusing on others instead of yourself, I wouldn't necessarily consider that suppression. And I would think that that would be completely fine to do for you to, take your mind off of yourself and your own issues and focus on helping others. That's a wonderful thing to do. However, just don't lose sight in the quiet moments when you're by yourself. If you're feeling angst, or if you're feeling depressed, or if you're feeling anger, or things like that, it helps to get to the root of those issues and figure out where you can forgive others, and and uh, and go through that process of forgiveness, and making peace with the situation, because then you can start to remove some of those walls, some of the defense barriers that you've put up that are then blocking you from your interactions with other people. um and Cody says here, this is important, but it has to be within moderation. Too much not paying attention to yourself isn't good. That's true, because you don't want to lose sight of, if you're having a challenge and you just totally, push it aside and don't deal with it, then it can come back to haunt you, over time, some of these things. Okay, Haley updates and says, well, no, I know the difference. Remember back around Christmas how I asked about how to stop suppression? Yes, I do remember that, Haley. Helping others has always made me happy. It's always brightened up my life. Yeah, and I think I definitely think you should continue to help other people be happy. And if the advice we gave you about stopping self-suppression has caused you, as in Ryan's example, to veer too far in the other direction and be too focused on yourself and your own issues, then maybe take some steps backward toward the middle and kind of guide yourself back to in that happy medium. So you're not completely losing sight of yourself and taking care of yourself, but also you're able to let go of that for a time to focus on others and to help them through their issues. But everything's kind of got its own time there. So I'm glad that you know the difference. And it's amazing to me to see someone your age wanting to help people. Because I think back to when I was in high school, I didn't want to help anybody. In fact, the whole world could just, go jump off a cliff. I didn't care. Like, I.
That's up to them. Like, I don't care.
Right. So it just amazes me, your heart for others and that you want to help. I mean, that I'm like, I look at you and I'm so impressed. And your mom comes to you for advice. I don't think my parents ever come to me for advice on anything. and rightfully so, because they know more than me. The weird thing is the older I get, the smarter my parents seem to get, which is a very interesting thing. But Haley, I just want to mention, I know you got to go here in a couple minutes, but I want you to know how impressed I am that you have such a heart for other people. And I don't want to ever discourage you from helping others and from, maybe setting your own feelings aside in order to help another person that needs help, because that is such a beautiful, giving and charitable thing to do, is to be looking out for other people and to be helping them out. And wow, if anything I've said in this or others has given you the impression that you should stop looking out for other people, I want to correct that, because I don't want you to ever think that you should stop doing that and instead be focused on yourself and your own challenges. What really I would be trying to get at is just maybe compartmentalize a little bit and maybe be able to just set aside what's going on in your own life to help another person. But then when you're done helping that other person, don't be afraid to take a look at what's going on in your life and analyze things and deal with things, and then look and see where you can heal. Look at the moments, the places in the quiet moments of your heart where you can find healing through forgiveness, but then also be able to take that aspect of yourself, set it aside, and focus on helping another person through their problems. So hopefully that was helpful. Ryan, do you have anything else?
Yeah. Okay. So Haley, this is something that I found true in my life. This is something I know Joe has found true in his life. The less you worry about yourself, the more you pay attention to others around you, the easier life becomes. It's just true. If you help others around you and you focus on them, life is going to go a lot easier for you and you're going to be a lot happier. So don't ever stop that. But here's what it is with suppression. Suppression is not a bad thing. It can be an aid. Suppression is not necessarily a good thing either. It can be destructive. Here's what I'm going to say to you. Don't worry about suppression. Suppression's not your issue. Don't worry about suppression. Just be responsible. Be responsible for your own life. Okay? That's it. Don't worry about whether you're suppressing something or you're not suppressing something, because you've got a lot right already, Haley. You're watching out for others and your concern for them is something that is really valuable. And if you think suppression is getting in the way of that, then do away with suppression. The main thing here is that you're responsible with your own life. That when you have issues, you take responsibility and you solve them. Outside of that, don't worry about whether you're suppressing your feelings in front of others or whatever, because you've got, like I said, so much right going on. I wouldn't even worry about that little thing. So yeah, just be responsible.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And Haley, you are a beautiful, beautiful person with a beautiful heart. And wow, it just amazes me that you have this heart for others. It's so unbelievable to me because, amidst all the stuff you've been through in the past year, and you still have this heart for others. It's so impressive. And not only that, but that what you're going through, the challenges that you've been through, they will help in your empathy with other people. If you're having trouble empathizing with others, then I would look for ways, then in the quiet moments when you're by yourself, look for ways if there are people that you need to forgive in order to tear down some of those walls, because that might be blocking some of the empathy. But at the same time, I'm just amazed. I can't say it enough. And I'm so happy that I know who you are and that I know a little bit of your story and your heart, because it's so beautiful to me. And hopefully some of what we've told you tonight is helpful. I know you got to get going. So we'll leave it at that. And yeah, just know wherever you go, we love you. And we're thinking about you and praying for you, and hope everything goes okay.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Haley. Cherry loves you too.
Yes. Speaking of Cherry, I think Cherry's next.
Nice.
Unless Angel, Dead, Akil, Lay, or Satura have showed up. Otherwise,
isn't Satura? I don't know how to pronounce her name. Is the person that watches the streams whenever they aren't around for the streams, but they always usually watch sometime later that day.
Okay.
Permission to do it when they're not there.
Okay. Cherry, I only see one from you on our list here. Oh, Cherry just posted one. Okay.
Hey, nice.
Wow. Ro, hey, welcome back. It's been a while since I've seen you in the chat.
Hey, Ro, welcome. Nice to see you.
Let's see.
So it's up to you. Which one do you want to do? You're the host here.
I'm the host, so I get to choose.
Haley says, "Thank you so much. I love you all so much. Your words mean so much to me. I'm sorry I can't stay for the rest of the stream, but if anyone ever needs anything, you can message me." Thanks, Haley. You rock.
Yes, thank you, Haley.
I hope I can you all support me. I'm sure you will.
Yes. All right. Well, let's take a look. Cherry, did these two topics happen to blend with each other a little bit?
Nice.
And maybe we can do like a twofer.
Oh, do the two? Oh, they don't.
Oh, okay. Well, since you asked, and you were next in line, we'll go ahead and do the new one since you wanted the new one done first. Um, so this is called A Change of Heart.
Oh,
And there's the link right there, so you can follow along.
Yep.
Huh?
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for.
Oh, you're welcome. It's
sharing the
just
link.
it's just what I do, you know. All right. So Cherry says, and this is called A Change of Heart. Cherry posts, I've had a change of heart. As of recently, something went down between me and another person. I was talking to a friend who is friends with someone who isn't a good person, to put it easily. I had gotten friend zoned by my friend, and so the person they're friends with decided to pretend to be a different person and friended me. I knew it was him. Excuse me. It was very obvious. They tried to ask me about person info, where I live, my name, etc. I gave them very limited information, only telling them I live in the US, and that was it. They tried to lure me in by acting very lustful, only to reveal that it was them. Then my friend stopped talking to me as well. She lied to me to make me believe that it wasn't the bad person, which I knew was a lie. What upsets me the most is this. The bad person said if I tried anything again, which him and my friend aren't together, she's single, that he'd return with his gang. So you know what I said? Bring it. I'll be waiting. So then comes my change of heart. As of recently, I've stopped being delicate and taken these actions as a declaration of war, and just like a country at war, I've set up my arsenal in full preparations of another attack. I feel more cold and push people away more easily. I refuse to be hurt again. If anyone tries to push my walls down, I block them out further. If anyone tries to push me or hurt me, I come out with fire beyond control. I'm ready to take anyone out who tries to take a step too close to me. But these aren't my colors. This isn't who I am. I know this, but I just can't help myself. In a way, it feels good, but I still long for a day where I can put the sword down long enough to let people through. And that's from Cherry.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wow, Cherry. I definitely can understand your feelings. I've felt that similar way, a way similar to that many times, where pushing people away, building up walls, like basically having to defend myself from the attacks of others because of feeling attacked all the time. Um, so I definitely know where you're coming from. But one person I know that has helped me a lot through stuff like that is Ryan, and he's going to be able to help you too, I imagine.
I love how you always edify me right before you tell me to speak about something. I'm like, oh geez, I have no idea what I'm gonna say even. What are you talking about?
You always know the right thing to say, Ryan.
Oh, well, thanks. I hope that I say the right thing. It's not necessarily up to me all the time. Um, so anyways, yeah, this is quite the situation that you went through. Obviously, that's really rough to be played around with people who are supposed to be your friends, but they're clearly not. Um, I mean, you'd assume if someone friend zoned you, you'd at least be their friend, but then um, when they side with somebody who tried to lie to you and say that they were, they created a new account and tried to play with your heart by acting very lustful and things like that. Um, yeah, that's really rough. And definitely something I could totally understand uh, putting up walls and barriers as a result of experiencing that. Because, I mean, when something like that happens, how do you still trust humanity when you know humanity is capable of that? You know, and
Mhm.
that's another funny thing is you could ask that about yourself. Is like, how do you even, how do you trust humanity when you know what you're capable of? Because we're all human. when we're all capable of doing terrible things like this. Um, I've seen it many times. I've seen people do this to each other, um, more times than I can really remember. I know I've seen it quite a few times of people creating accounts and trying to mess with each other. Um, and that's something that happens on the internet, and it's very unfortunate. Um, but how do you get away from putting up these walls? Now, Joe has some good advice on this, so I'll leave that a lot of that up to him. But obviously, we've talked about it a little bit before, but forgiveness helps a lot.
Mhm.
Um, but um, I wanted to talk about a little bit about something you said here at the end. You know, you've put on this new um, sense of "bring it on, we're at war" kind of attitude,
Mm.
um, and then it feels good in a way, but you still long for a day where you can put down the sword, um, long enough to let people through, um, and I respect that. I think that um, at some point you need peace. Peace is being able to know you're in the right place at the right time, knowing that you're even amidst your struggles, again, you can put down the sword and rest easy, um, knowing that like everything's all right. And that's really hard for people to find in this world today, especially because we always think we're being judged by everybody around us and how we're judging ourselves, that we're not okay with who we are a lot of times and things like that. So it can be very hard to find that peace, that inner peace, to put the sword down. But it takes reflection. Sometimes it takes perhaps maybe sources beyond our own wealth, being God or things like that of a spiritual nature. But what I wanted to say on top of that was this: you said in a way it feels good, and again, I can respect that. I think that there is good in that attitude. That kind of bring it on, this is war attitude isn't all bad. It can be very good. Um, when you're fighting something that's evil, well then you're on the good side, right? Having that having that I don't know what the word is. Um, having that esteem, if you will, that fighter's spirit can be a very good thing. It can be a very, very important thing. And it's not bad to have that. How do you and but how do you draw the line between where it is good and where it's bad, right? Because you don't want to just push everyone away. You
Mm.
just want to push the evil out. You want to have that fighter spirit and say, bring it on. This is war against the evils, but you don't want to do that because not everybody is evil. And so the way you draw that line is you allow people to make mistakes. You see, in I'm going to give an example. I think I've given it many times before, but in life, I tend to give people my trust. At least not everything. I don't just say, "Oh, here's my social security number, here's my debit card. Yeah, you can just have that." And let's see. Oh, you can have everything I own, I guess, right? There's a limit, right? You set your boundaries, but you make them giving. You give people from your wealth, right? So you have more beyond your means. Everybody has more than they need in some regard. Some people, it's time. When it's not money, it's usually time. But everyone has something that they can give, something that they can entrust another person with. That if they lose, they don't actually lose anything much. Um, so, anyways, you give people some trust. So in my life, I've given people trust. Um, and I kind of challenge people because I say, "Hey, I trust you." I tell people like that is my phrase um, when something's going to happen, when I need to give them something that I really shouldn't be trusting them with. I say, "Hey, I trust you. Here you go. Yeah, you can have that." you know, whatever it is. Like, let's say, um, you know, I have someone needs to go to the store and buy something, and it's only like $3. Well, I only have a $20 bill, you know, and it's like, okay, hey, you're gonna run up the store, and okay, cool. Here's a 20. Can you buy me this $3 thing? I'll trust you. Give me the money back. I'm sure you will. You know, just kind of like giving that you that idea that you trust them makes them feel like they have something important, and they're not going to break that. They want to show you that they are a person that is a good person. People like to know that they're on the good side. A lot of times people do things that seem evil or that are evil, but they don't realize that they're on the bad side. They're trying to do the right thing in bad ways, and they just don't understand yet. Like this person that you experienced that did this thing to you, where they pretended to be a person that they weren't. They went behind your back, and tried to lure you into a bad situation, right? They were doing all of this because they thought they were trying to fight you, because they thought that you were doing something wrong. They thought that you were the evil one because you were asking this girl out who friend zoned you, and they got all upset, and they wanted to make sure that you knew your place, right? Probably something along those lines. They weren't considering probably like, okay, what's the most evil thing I could do? They might have, you know, some people do think that, but in this case, it could be either way. It could be that they were like trying to specifically hurt you, or it could be that they were trying to catch you because you hurt them and they felt like you were wrong and they needed to get revenge. So, and people don't understand that revenge is evil. People think that revenge is justice, but justice and revenge are two completely different words. They don't go together. Revenge is, I think, another side of this. So, you know, your idea of like, this is war, you know, kind of thing can be bad when your desire is for revenge, because revenge is not justice. It's just selfishness. It's you wanting to hurt another person because you were hurt. But that doesn't pay off any debts. That doesn't enact forgiveness. That doesn't create peace. That creates war. And that is unsettling. Instead, justice is different than that. Justice is a lot more complex and hard to understand because we're humans. But justice enacts what is good, in hopes for the growth of the other person, not the depletion of the other person, not the destruction of another person. Because someone wronged me, I don't want to hurt them. Instead, when someone wrongs me, I want them to stop hurting people. That's completely different. I want them to grow and become a better person so that they can make the world a better place. Not, I want them and I'm not going to like try to snuff them out instead. See, that's the difference between revenge and justice. Now, how you go about justice is very interesting. And a lot of times justice only gets enacted because someone else wants revenge. And it's just kind of how that works. But regardless, you got to keep the two separate. But anyways, going back to the main points here, when you have to remember that not everybody is evil. In fact, everybody's capable of evil, and everyone's capable of good things. Most people want to be good. You have what I was starting with was you need to give people trust and tell people that you're giving them your trust. Then they won't want to break it. But if they do break it, forgiveness. Because no friendship can last without forgiveness. Now, some people will break it and you'll be like, okay, I see what's going on here. I don't really need to be their friend because they're not going to be a person in my life that's going to help me become a better person. And I'm not doing them any service by helping them become a better person. There's no reason for that to be a friendship. But if you give enough people your trust, you'll find those people, and you'll find that there's a lot of them out there who are worth being friends with. But then you need to forgive them when they break your trust, because it's going to happen, because you're going to break their trust. And you know what? You're going to break their trust without you ever knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to break your trust without them knowing it. And you're going to imagine things in your head that will make you think that they just broke your trust, but they didn't even do anything at all, because your brain likes to make things up, just like everybody else's brains. We all like to create stories that never happen, and then like get scared about who people are because they did that thing in your brain, but it never actually happened. Because that's what we do. That's what those walls were put up for. And that's what those walls remind us of. So we have to work on breaking those walls down. But yeah, it's okay to give people trust, and it's okay for them to break that trust. It's okay. You be a person that fights for good, and you will cause people who are good to come to you. People who are good will want to be around you. And the people who are not won't even want to associate with you. They'll figure out who you are, and they'll be like, "Oh, he's too good for me. I don't want to do anything. I don't want anything to do with him. Oh, he's not gonna be with us. You know, he's not gonna get our good, like, haha, we tricked that person kind of mentality. He's too good for that. Not even gonna be friends with him. I don't relate to him. So the bad people are just not even gonna relate to you. So be a person that fights for good. You'll attract other people fighting for good. Keep up the warrior spirit. That's good. It's healthy. But yeah, you gotta lend people some trust so you can. I sound like milk. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna let Joe handle the rest of this.
You sound like Martin Luther King.
Oh wow.
Jr.
Oh,
MLK.
Like bummer. I don't know which one's more charming.
Oh, wait. Oh,
yeah, it's your turn, Joe. Go for it.
Oh, it's my turn. Sorry. We're gonna edit that part out, except for it's a live stream.
No, I love the silence. After that tangent that I took, like the 14 tangents I took. I'm sorry about that, guys.
No, that was great. I was just waiting for the next one.
All right, here comes.
Science Rocks already gave my book recommendations for me, apparently. The book recommendations of how to win friends and influence people, how to have confidence and power in dealing with people. One by Les Giblin, one by Dale Carnegie. Those are really good books. And yes, I always recommend those anytime you're dealing with other people, just because, they're books about how we operate as people.
Oh, for sure.
People are people. And for the time from the beginning of people till now, we've kind of been the same, where we are rational at times, we're irrational at times, we're selfish, we're selfless, we've got all these things going on. Technology changes, and so then we get, now we're interacting with people in chat rooms and all that kind of stuff. What? Nothing. Perfect.
Funny.
That's the best advice of 2019. My best advice was silence.
Yeah.
Good.
Way better than my advice, that's for sure. Just silence is the best solution when advice is needed to be given.
Well, and you know what? There is a little bit of truth in that, because sometimes when you and I'm not saying that because I thought what you said was bad, because what you said was amazing. And but I remember a friend of mine telling me, he was going through a really difficult time, and I called him up and I was like, man, I really don't know what to say. And he said to me, you know what? Just the fact that you called me and that you're here, you don't have to say anything, but just that you're here saying nothing, where I can feel your energy, your support, stuff like that.
Okay.
that means a lot. And so, Cherry, what I have to tell you is basically go back and listen to what Ryan said, because he hit point by point by point. He thought he was tangenting, but really what he was doing was he was handling each little individual point of what's going on in your situation. And I thought it was beautiful. And like he was referring to in your last little section of your post here, he said, "These aren't my colors. This isn't who I am. I know this, but I just can't help myself. In a way, it feels good. But I still long for a day when I can put the sword down long enough to let people through." Yes, I so much can relate to that. I can so much relate to the feeling of being it just. I remember feeling like I was attacked a lot. I mean, I was bullied a lot when I was in high school, and it started really in junior high and went all the way through high school. And I just remember being picked on all the time by people who I thought were my friends, by people who I was on different teams with and different groups with and everything, just being picked on and picked on and picked on all the time. And to them, it was just fun and funny, you know, and to me, it was really hurtful. And then there were times when people would actually be trying to do something mean and they'd be trying to be hurtful. And I really turned to bitterness in that time because of that. I really took all that in and allowed myself to hate. And in a way, I remember it feeling good because I didn't care, because I was confident. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to just be who I am. And you know what? If you don't like it, well, go jump off a cliff or something, you know, or insert cuss words where you might feel them appropriate. They're not really appropriate, but I remember feeling that way. I remember feeling, okay, now I'm confident. Now these people aren't going to hurt me because I'm going to be mean to them first. Whether it's, you know, I just shoot them an evil look as I walk past them, or, you know, like if they come up and they're going to say something to me, then I'll just, you know, yell at them or blow them off or do something mean, you know. I can remember that feeling good because I knew that I wasn't going to get hurt because I was going to hurt them first. And I remember being to that level and I was like, all right, you know, and you're right. In a way, it feels good, but still, I knew that wasn't who I was. I wasn't brought up to be that way. I was brought up to be kind. I was brought up, you know, to be a caring person, be a friendly person. And all of these things that happened to me that were directed at me, all this being picked on, you know, caused me to put up a defense. And the problem was, and I know Ryan touched on this when he was going through it, the problem was I directed that at people who weren't going to be mean to me ever. They just saw me. They thought I might be someone they might want to get to know and they might want to be my friend. But I directed this mean attitude toward them. And so as a result, I maybe lost a whole bunch of friends before I even knew that I could have them because of that. Now, I can't go back and lament the fact that, oh, I did that. Oh, I was so wrong. All I can do is forgive myself now and just go back and be like, you know what? I was off track completely. I was acting in response to these things that happened to me, but I was wrong to respond that way. There was a lot better ways that I could have taken this. And I really longed to be myself again, to be able to put that down, to be able to put the front aside and just allow myself to be myself and to be at peace with these people and to love them. And I love the distinction that Ryan made between revenge and justice, because that was so true. And Science Rocks put a post up here as well. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Science Rocks said, "Revenge is for the ego, and justice is for the good of all." And that's so true, because like when we go to strike out on with revenge, it's really for our own ego, whether to defend our fragile ego or to boost our ego, because we feel like we deserve to have something come back to us for the whatever they took from us, whatever feeling that they made us feel. We need to exact a payment from them for that. But justice is like what Ryan was talking about. It's to help. It's because you want them to modify their behavior for their own good, because that's not a good way for them to be treating people. This person who treated you this way, that's not healthy for them to treat people like that. It's not healthy for them to treat you like that or anybody else. And if they think it's okay, then that's not good for them. And so for you, like as Ryan was talking about, for you to be strong and to be firm and to say, hey, that's wrong, that's a good thing. But you don't necessarily have to do that with everybody. You only need to do that with the people who initiate poor behavior. So I wish I could just give you a huge hug.
Yeah.
Because I remember that point. And I remember the point where I had to break these walls down that I had built up, like you're describing here, these defenses, and feeling like it was me against everybody else individually. It was just me pitted against everybody else. And I remember when I got to the point where I was starting to break these walls down, and I was by myself when I was doing this. I was reading through some material on how to do this and how to forgive, and different forgiveness prayers and different forgiveness to reach down into the different events and forgive people for these things. And I cried like hardcore as I was going through this process. I remember just like weeping for as I was letting go of all of this tension that had been there for years, from the time of all these people picking on me from the very beginning. Like I remember specifically when it was starting, when I was in like 6th grade, maybe even between 5th and 6th grade, when all this, I can kind of pinpoint it back to this specific event. And I remember getting to that event and finally letting go of that. And I remember weeping for like a half an hour, seemed like maybe longer. I don't know.
Wow.
But as I was letting all of that go and just unraveling that I'd held on to for so long. And then after that, and being spent and just like laying there and finally going to sleep, and then getting up the next day. And there was this weight that was lifted off. And like, I love how you put this, Cherry, because you long for the day when you can put the sword down long enough to let people through. And I felt like that was the day that I finally dropped the sword. And it was years. Like I had had my defenses up for years and years and years. And when I finally let that go, the peace that came over me, the peace that and then I was able to be myself, and I was able to allow people to say something hurtful to me, and it didn't matter. I didn't need the walls anymore, because I was strong enough on the interior that I didn't need the defense. I was able to be real at that point. And then if they decided they wanted to come at me and say something mean, well, it's like, look, it's almost like the walls, when the walls came down, what I found was me as a person was strong enough to handle anything that I was putting my walls up to defend. And I just didn't know it. But having gone through those processes, having been through the pain, and having been through the emotional turmoil, and then the forgiveness and the healing, having gone through all that and emerging, I no longer needed the walls. and I could be who I truly am. And that'd be better for everybody around me and better for the people who interact with me in the future. And you can be that person too, Cherry. I really know that you can. And I hope that some of these things that I've said, and especially a lot of the things that Ryan said in his descriptions, because he was right on. I hope some of that gets through and you're able to use some of it to help move you closer to that day of dropping your defenses and really being you and being comfortable with being you. Because, you know, what I know of you, I mean, I know that we don't know each other personally, but I see you in the chat and I read your posts and I get an idea of what's going on in your heart. And, you know, what I see, it impresses me so much. You've got the guts to talk about some of these things. You've been through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to help you grow. And I feel like the people that come here and they post their challenges and they've got their stuff that they're working through, it impresses me so much because you're working through these challenges, and these challenges are the things that are going to create your ability to help more people that I will never come into contact with, but you will. And hope, and maybe something I said that encourages you will give you the ability to encourage somebody else that'll never meet me or never come on Don't Worry Wednesday, never get to know us at all, but you'll have an impact in their life. And that to me is such a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like we're helping other people in order so they can help other people. And then as that chain reaction goes, we can reach people all over the world. I mean, we already are, but even more people that'll never experience a Don't Worry Wednesday show. We'll be able to help them through helping you guys. And for you to have that healing process, Cherry, I sure hope that it comes sooner than later. It can be painful going back through some of these things. And like I said, you know, it was a trying experience to go through that and then end up crying for that long. But man, on the other side of it was so worth it. And I'll tell you what, I know you can experience that too. You know, it comes through forgiveness. I will say that. And wow, Cherry, just know that we love you here. And I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you took the time to post. And I look forward to helping you with other posts. But Ryan, did you have anything else to say about this one?
No. Thanks for that, Joe. I love what you said about when the walls came crumbling down, you found out that you were strong enough anyways. You know, all you're left with yourself, and you could take it. You had already built up strength to take anything that came your way. Once the walls were not there anymore. But yeah, and then you could just be who you were. I really like that. That I don't know. I just have this visual imagination of, like, you know, if you will, a warrior or whoever, you know, maybe a monk, doesn't really matter. But, you know, they got the walls and the walls just collapse. And then the guy that's behind the wall is like, yeah, I see you there. Bring it. You know, I'm strong enough here. I don't need those walls. You know, I figured out how to keep evil out. Kind of idea. But anyhow.
Yep. That's pretty cool. So thanks, Cherry. Thank you for posting, and thanks for sharing just a piece of who you are. And I hope some of that's helpful for you.
Yeah, you're awesome, Cherry. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So moving onwards.
You're welcome. Much love.
Yes. Thank you, Cherry. All right. We've got Vay. Vay, are you back yet? Vay is back.
Vay. Yay. In fact, they said that just as you asked. Wow. Well done.
All right. Perfect timing, because you are next
Yeah,
in line.
no doubt.
Let's see. They change. All right, Vay. And here's the, so you guys can read along. Here is the link to the post. Oh, Princess. Right at the same time we posted that.
Nice.
Awesome. And I'll put it up here too. Got to make sure I give it to Jesse.
Thanks for doing that, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course. You know, we're running a show here, man. That's what we do around here.
Whoops, I didn't realize that.
So, all right. So this comes from Vay. It's called Change, and you see the links there. And here we go. Vay says, since the start of 2019, I've been having issues with my friends. It's not like I can't talk or get along with them. I think it's a matter of whether or not my words are properly reaching them. I am an introvert with a passive-aggressive personality, but when I meet up with my friends who have a more dominating personality, I turn meek and can't get my words through. If there's a topic that we disagree on, they'll push their way through and decide what's going to happen, and I eventually give in to it and just adapt my way around the decision. I have another issue with a different friend who is spreading lies about me to our classmates. They would call over a random peer of ours and say that I hate going to school because of the race of my classmates. After spouting lies about me to others, they would start laughing loudly. I tried talking to them about it, but they said that they would only say it when I'm in the room to deny it, but I'm kind of uneasy because I have trust issues. I absolutely disagree with their comments, and I try my best to clear up the misunderstanding. But what can I really change when they know my friend more than they know me? At the moment, we're doing okay and have been talking more casually, but I still feel unsure and unsteady when I'm around them. I've thought about running away and breaking off my friendships with them just so I can avoid having fights that may get past verbal abuse. Not that I have fights like those now, but I don't want to throw away the group of friends that I've built up for 1.5 years. I'm just in the second year of high school, and I know for sure that I want to resolve these issues by the end of our high school days together. We are most likely not going to meet anymore after we graduate, and I'm scared that I'll end another chapter to my school life on a bad note, just like I did with my middle school friends. And that is from Vay. So yeah, so there's some trust issues. I definitely can relate to you to being an introvert, because that's kind of how I am too. And yeah, if there's a topic and I have an extroverted friend, they generally their way kind of goes. But yeah, Ryan, do you want to kick us off here?
Sure. Why not? Yeah, this is I mean, again, just like Joe, I'm an introvert, so I can definitely relate to being in that position. What I found though was that there's a real advantage to that. I can understand the disadvantages with it too. You don't get your way, right? Period. Um, and you have to stand up for what's right, for what's good, for what's holy, for what's just, for what's loving, that kind of stuff. You want to stand up. I mean, if there's an issue pressing on that concept, something that is that actually matters a lot, then it's important to experience the pain of having to fight with other people who are more aggressive than you, more dominating, or more emotional, or whatever. Um, by emotional, I more so mean upfront with their emotions, more physical with their emotions, whether that be yelling or perhaps violent. But um, on most issues, it is a real blessing to be able to do what you can do when it comes to giving it up and saying, okay, yeah, you can decide what's going to happen next. You can decide, you can make the plans for this, whatever this occasion is. We can have it your way. It is a super huge blessing to be able to just give that up and not worry about it.
Hmm.
Um, because not only does that decrease the weight off of you, not only does that build them up, but it also makes you the person that when things go wrong, you're the fastest to adjust. Your emotions won't necessarily prevent you from doing the things that need to be done when things, hit the wall, if you will. Your personality is going, and you doing this training, if you will, you are becoming the kind of person um, that can enjoy, if you will, a change in plan. I wrote a song. I don't know. You've probably never heard it. You don't even know that I write music, probably. But there's a song. It's called "Life Might Take Us," and in the song it says, "We never know where this life might take us. When I get, uh, wait, I don't even remember the lyrics. Doesn't matter. I don't remember the lyrics of my own songs. But anyways, if you go and listen to that song is about plans not working out the way you want them to. Um, but having that ability to get excited when they don't go your way. Because here's the thing, when you make plans and they go your way, I mean, that's not really exciting. If you look at any story that's actually like entertaining, it's when all the plans go wrong or the plans are different than you expect and they make the best of it. If you look, I mean, I don't know what kind of things you like, Vay, but imagine you're watching a fight scene, right? What's more enjoyable? The guy, the main character plans it all out and he's just he just like ridiculously like there was no competition? Or is it more enjoyable to watch a scene where he's suddenly interrupted by his plan and a new thing happens and he has to figure out how to trump that, right? All of a sudden, someone throws a punch he didn't expect and drops into the floor and he's like, "Oh geez, what do I do? I'm on the ground. This is not what I expected. This is not my plan." That story is way more dramatic, but also way more enjoyable. Um, because then when he can trump that situation, you're like, wow, not only does he have skills, but he has improvisation skills on top of that. Anyways, my point here is what you're doing when it comes to allowing other people to win is you're building a lot of strength in a lot of areas that are important. Um, it's I found that in life there are many times where I don't need to win, and winning makes me less happy. Um, when it's like an argument or something, if I can just give it up and let other people have their way, then I don't have that guilt of feeling I just pressured somebody. I don't have that guilt of just of the fact that I just argued for like 35 minutes about something that's pointless, right? Um, rather, I can just let the person win, even if they're wrong, even if their idea is stupid, whatever. Just let them win and get on with it. And then guess what? What's gonna happen when they have a bad idea and you let them go through with it is you can say, I thought that was a pretty decent idea. Why don't we try this instead? That way, it feels like fair game. It doesn't feel like they're being thrown under the bus. Anyways, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but all of this is to say it's not a bad practice. Um, I would say get rid of the aggressive side of passive aggressive, and you've got yourself an incredible uh just you can take anything of any situation and you can react with kindness when people have bad ideas and you let them go through with it and you say, see, now this is a learning experience. let's grow through this. Let's figure out an idea together that's even better. Let's work together on it. You become an incredibly adaptive person, and a person who has great attitude. So if you can just get away from the aggressive side of that, obviously it's important, like we talked earlier, I don't know if you were here, to have responsibility. You have to take responsibility. There are times where you have to decide, okay, I need to get things done. Here's my plan. Let's do it, rather than being completely passive and doing nothing, right? Sometimes you do have to take charge. But if there's already someone taking charge, sometimes it's better to let them fail than to tell them that they're going to fail before they do it. Because they're probably going to do it anyways and fail and then be mad at you, rather than them being on your side when they fail and knowing that you've got their back. Hopefully that makes sense. I know that's not really what this post is about, but I just want to say you've got a good thing going there for you. But just try to be more loving and more encouraging, rather than passive aggressive. Yeah. Anyways, sorry. Again, a tangent. But
your tangents always lead back to the point, though, which is good.
Thanks. I hope that they do. Anyways, as for, I'm going to end with this, because I took a long enough time on that specific thing, and I know Joe has some good stuff to say, and I'm sure he can relate a lot to some of the stuff in here. But one thing the last thing I want to touch on is in the last section of your comment. You posted 3 different things. The last section, you said, let me try to find this. I can't remember what it was. Either way, or maybe it was in the second section. I don't know. Anyways, I'm trying to skim through and I'm not finding it. But regardless, you want to, you're worried about losing your friends and etc. And one thing that you're unfortunately doing while you're trying to make sure you don't lose your friends is that, well, I'm not saying you're unfortunately doing this, but you're putting yourself in a position where who you are as an individual is being defined by your fear of losing something. And that means that concept, whatever that fear is, in this case, it's your friends, owns your personality and kind of controls you, right? It controls you. And what I want to say to that is, this is what it was. You want to help your friends. You want to resolve the issues, and make the last days of your school, together, and not hurt each other. You don't want to end on a bad note. And again, you said you thought about running away and avoiding the verbal abuse, but you also kind of want to build them up, because you've already invested a lot of time in this group of friends, right? Here's what I'm going to say to all of that, because I think that you can knock out all of those stones with one bird. What?
Knock out all those stones with one bird, man.
Yeah, you can knock out all of those stones with one bird, and that's it. I totally said that backwards. Anyways, don't worry about losing your friends. Worry about being the best person you can be. Because here's the thing. If you are being the best person you can be, like go out of your way to go above and beyond being the best person you can be. Even if that means doing the things you're afraid of doing. especially if it means doing the things you're afraid of doing, especially if it means saying the things you're afraid of saying. Whether that be a joke or a sincere um, compliment to somebody, or saying when someone drops their pencil, you pick it up for them. People drop their binder and their papers fly everywhere. You're the one that bends down and helps them pick it up, even though you don't have time. That kind of stuff. All right. You go out of your way to be whoever you think, think about who you want to be. Who would you, if I was this person, I would be really impressive. I would be like a really cool guy, like a really good guy. Like, I want to be like that. Think about the virtues in life that you want to chase after. Think about individuals that you think of like, wow, they just did that. I can't believe they did that. That's really nice and really amazing, really generous. I want to be like that someday. Start being like that immediately, because that's who you are. That's who you're capable of being. You just have to act that way, right? So do that. You know what's going to happen? One of two things is going to happen. One, you will lift your friends up because you do that, and they're going to start trying to be better people themselves. It's just how it works. I've seen it multiple times, and I've lived through that. You can lift others up around you by not necessarily trying to lift them up, but just trying to be the best you, and they will be lifted up by your presence. So either that will happen, or B, the other thing that can happen is you'll get a bunch of new friends that are attracted to you because they're like, wow, I want to be around that person. And neither of those things are bad. If your old friends can't relate to you anymore and they leave you because you're trying to be the best version of yourself, then they'll come around later. Okay? Right now, they don't get it, but they'll come around later. But the people that you gain as new friends, that'll totally be worth it to you. You will not regret that. But either way, whatever you do, don't let your fear control your attitude. Don't let your fear of losing your friends cause you to make bad decisions, cause you to be stressed out. Right? You don't want that. You don't need that. That's not making you a better person. That's not making you more happy, is it? So, yeah, that's what I got now. I'm going to leave it to Joe, because Joe's going to say the best parts. I save the best parts for last, like always.
Well, I appreciate your vote of confidence, Ryan, but I think you handled that quite spectacularly. One thing, Vay has an update. Thanks, Ryan. I never thought about it like that before. I'll definitely try to overcome my fear in my high school days ahead. Yeah, that's good. Because the fear is the main enemy here. And a lot of it's fear of the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen when we take a stand, or we, or especially being an introvert, because as an introvert myself, I'm like, I don't want to make waves. I don't really feel like making a stand up there and being all like, I do want to help. I want to help change the world. I want to help change people's lives and help them live better lives. But, I don't want to like go at it like, I'd rather go at it, at my computer here in a room by myself at my computer screen with a camera. And that's great. But what, as you were talking about, your personality style and dealing with other personalities, it reminded me of a book. Of course, I'm going to have a book recommendation. The book's called Personality Plus by Florence Littauer. There is a link to it right there in the chat. So
that's a good one.
You can get it there. And Princess says, good book. Yes, Princess, I know, Princess, you've read it. And wow, how hugely important that book was for me when I discovered where I was in this personality spectrum. There's mainly there's four main overarching types of personality, and we all kind of fit in all of them, but we have dominant features in these different personalities, and we can figure out where we're at in the spectrum. We can figure out where we're strong and where we kind of need to shore some things up, and how we interact with others in relation to our strengths versus their strengths, and we can understand people's weaknesses and all that kind of stuff with that. So yep, it's called Personality Plus. I'll post the link again just because I want to. I like posting links. So but that book changed so many things on how I look at the world and how I interact with other people. Amira says, I'm not saying they won't change. They might, or they might not. Yes, some people are worth keeping in your life. They might have been a good friend at first, but you can't hold on to a false image that no longer exists. That's so very true. Because you can't, like, people have the ability to change, but none of us are ever going to make somebody change. The only person we can change is ourselves. And interestingly enough, as we change ourselves, a lot of times the people around us start to change as well. I've noticed that in my own life a lot, because as I've made changes in my life through, maybe it was through reading one of these books that I've recommended, and some of these books made such profound differences to the way I thought. Like the way I looked at the world changed, and my actions changed, and just my attitudes and everything, they changed. And people would look at me and they'd be like, you're like different. And in response, they became a little bit different, at least when they were around me, because they were able to relax a little bit and understand that I was acting in a little bit more peaceful way that was more confident, more accepting of others as they are, because I was accepting of myself as I am. And it really goes a long way. One of the things Ryan is so good at is being virtuous.
That's
and
you.
Huh? It is not me.
You're like, I've got a compliment about myself, but I'm not gonna say it about myself. I'm gonna say it about this other person so that I don't look like I'm bragging.
No, that is not me at all. I
roll my eyes at you.
Like,
I know how, I don't know how to do that, all right? Because I've never done it, but just pretend.
I'll tell you, it's true. Ryan has such a way of being virtuous. He lives always trying to be the best version of himself, always trying to get better, to try and be better for those around him. And I love how he was talking about that towards the end of what he was saying, because it's totally true. You, as you're going through these with these different friends, sometimes we get friends, sometimes friends go away. Friends come and they go, and we don't, and sometimes they come and they go in different ways. Like, I had a group of friends that I was in a band with, and the band broke up, and we ended up leaving each other in the worst way possible, where I had said some things and done some things that were very hurtful, and it destroyed the friendship that I had with these people. Absolutely destroyed the friendship. And I had run into them again like a year or two later, and it just felt really weird. Because I had destroyed the friendship. And I hadn't done it in a mean way, but it was mean how I did it. Like, it wasn't angry, it wasn't like belligerent, it wasn't loud and stuff, but it was mean. And it was hurtful. And that really, really did a number on things. And so now, from then, for the rest of our lives, it would be really hard for us to be in the same room together, I'm sure, or to be in the same area together. And there are other friends of mine, other bands that I've been in where we broke up, and we're still friends. Because we didn't have that deep of a, it was just kind of, we just kind of faded apart. It wasn't like we had some defining moment where I was done and this is it and this is that, we're done, which was like the other one. But in this case, it was just like we were friends, and then we just kind of, it's not like we stopped being friends, we just stopped being around each other. And so we weren't really hanging out anymore, and it was okay. We just kind of went our separate ways and lived our lives. But if we run into each other now, we just kind of pick up where we left off, and we have conversation, we talk, and it's like, hey, how you been, and this and that, and it's a really good situation. So just because you're gonna migrate through different friend groups as your life goes on, it doesn't mean that it's gonna end on a bad note. It doesn't have to end on a bad note. So what Ryan was saying was so key. If you can be the best version of yourself, what you're going to find, it doesn't matter whether these people will continue being your friend or not. If they decide to not be your friend anymore, well, so be it. You're becoming the best version of yourself that you possibly can be. And what's going to happen is you're going to start to attract the people to your life, the people that really would be healthy friendships for you. And probably, if you're being the best version of yourself, those friends that kind of separate from you and aren't really your close friends anymore, they're not going to have ill feelings towards you. They're just not going to be around you all the time. You're just going to kind of love them from a distance, I like to say, where they're just not coming around you as much anymore, whatever. It doesn't matter. But when you run into them again, it's not going to be awkward or mean or anything like that. You're just going to it's going to be like picking up where you left off. You might have a little conversation, and then on and you're back, doing your own thing again. You're with your own groups again, whatever. But it doesn't have to end with bad feelings, I guess is the key I'm trying to get at here. And it's more likely the better version of yourself you become. So grow, learn, live the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Love others as you would have others love you. And if you do that, now we all fail at that miserably on a daily basis. We don't do the best we possibly can. We don't do this perfectly ever. We just try to do the best we can, is what I'm trying to say. We do, anyway, you get what I'm saying.
We sometimes try to do the best we can. And other times we say we tried our best, but we didn't actually. But we did our best in that moment because we can't do any better in the past now. So that is the best because that is it. And then, and no matter what, it's never perfect. So don't worry about it.
Exactly. It's never going to be perfect, ever. Ever perfect. Keaton sums it up great. Keaton says in the chat, my best friend and I stopped talking for over a year. We met up again recently and just clicked right back into place. Growth makes all the difference. That's so true. And you know what? I could have said that and spared you like 10 minutes of talking. Because that's really what I'm trying to say.
That's how I every time I talk.
Well, but your voice sounds so wonderful, Ryan.
Oh, just like yours. Except for mine is not perfect, but yours is not any less than perfect.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But at any rate, Vay, just be you and work on being a better you. And the right people are going to come into your life. You're going to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus, I guess you could say. The people who aren't right for you in your life, they'll distance themselves. The people who are right for your life, they'll come close. And they might be the same people, they might not be. And sometimes the people around you that aren't necessarily a healthy relationship for you, when they see you grow and change, they will grow and change as well. Because even though you're the introvert and you're the meek and mild one in these relationships, don't think that means that you don't have an impact on the extroverts in your group. Oh, just because you let other people have their way doesn't mean you don't have an impact on them. Because they're watching you. And you can quietly and meekly have a profound impact on the people around you, even if they're the loudmouth, blowhard, belligerent, extroverted, crazy people that I'm scared of from time to time.
Fair, fair.
So Vay says, I've cut off some friends in the past who became too toxic for me, but how do I know that they become toxic? It's a really good question. If they start to influence you in a direction that's not virtuous or that goes against your conscience, that's a really good sign that they might be a toxic friend. If you're feeling pressured to do things that go against your conscience, then, you know, I would reflect on whether or not they should be your friend or not. And Vay also says, the friend I mentioned in the second section doesn't seem to want to change. They're stubborn with what they want to do and what they think. Yeah, I know people like that too. Mm-hmm. I know some stubborn folks. But you know what? The interesting thing is, you will never change them overtly. Mm-hmm. The only way they will change is by seeing a change in someone else and admiring that change and then desiring to have what that other person has. That's the way that they change. And so it all comes back to the advice Ryan gave you. And that is, change yourself. Become a better version of yourself every day. And watch what happens. Watch the world around you change. It's absolutely amazing to see. So, Ryan, did you have anything else for this?
No, nope, nothing else. That was perfect, because that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can think of tons of people who, you know, they're stubborn, they don't want to change. But as soon as you stop worrying about changing them, don't just allow them to be them. Just allow them to be them. Don't worry about them. But you work on yourself and you watch them change. Mm-hmm. Or either they'll walk away or they'll be your friend and change and adapt, and you'll be surprised. But yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you for posting, Vay. Thank you so much, and feel free to come back and post some more. And wow, it was a great topic to talk about. So hopefully some of that was helpful. And yeah, keep sticking around and feel free to post anytime.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Where do we go to next?
You want to do one more?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Akil has come. Amira is here. Anna is not here. I didn't see her step in. It's unfortunate.
Anna's here.
Oh, Anna is actually here. Anna P is here. Oh my gosh. That's right. She's the one who made the comment about me rolling my eyes and my whole head. That's how you do. How you roll your eyes, right?
Yeah.
Your eyes are attached to the rest of your head, so doing that, of course, causes them to roll. Guys.
So let's see. So I know we've got one from Amira. We've got a whole bunch in here from Akil. So Akil, if there's one of these you want us to do,
you name it.
You name it, and we'd be happy to. Or if you would prefer us to move to Amira's next, we can also do that.
Oh, Kendra is also here. Wow, but Kendra is kind of farther down the line.
Yep.
Technically, in this situation, it would be Akil first, like 3 times, and then Amir, and then Amira, and then Anna, and then Kendra.
Okay. And Akil says mine isn't time bound. Go ahead. So, all right. Well, we will move to Amira's. Amira's is about losing myself. Let's see. Let me find that here.
Uh, Frost Phoenix, that is correct. Someone was sneaking up behind me, but it's all right.
Okay. So here's Amira's right there. Jesse, our producer, tells us that we have 8 minutes left. I don't think that's actually true.
I was like, what the heck is wrong with this person? They just insulted Amira. And then I looked to see who it was, and it was Amira. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because that makes it a little bit more okay, but it's still not okay.
Right.
You're not a moron.
So Amira's is about losing myself. I posted the link. Oh, and Princess posted it up there too. Princess, you're so good. Oh my gosh. So another thanks to Jesse and Princess for running this show behind the scenes. You guys are amazing. Hey Jesse, I see the messages you're sending. Jesse sends us behind the scenes messages. Princess actually says technically we have an hour and 45 minutes of content.
Yeah, we got like 15 minutes. Let's do it.
Yeah. Plus we've done these streams for 2.5 hours before. So
yeah, Jesse, you'll just, you know what? If we go on for 7 hours, you'll deal with it in the morning when you wake up and go to work. All right, buddy? No, I'm just kidding.
That's great. That's great. All right. So here we go. Amira says, hey, I've been really depressed lately. I completely dropped the girl I like for multiple reasons. It's been making me crazy, and I feel like I've completely lost myself. On Saturday, I got drunk because I couldn't take what I was feeling and was hoping my brain would go numb. Instead, I lost feeling in my body and felt more depressed the day. It feels like I'm nothing more than an empty vessel. And that's from Amira. Amira, I know what you're going through. And yes, there have been times when I thought that drinking or using another substance was going to help me out. But it might help me out in that moment, but still, it doesn't ever get rid of the problem. And then the problem is there, and it's usually worse later. So, Ryan, do you have anything to say about this?
Nope. Do you?
Okay.
Of course, I'll try to figure out something to say.
Ryan's got nothing.
Yeah, no, Amira, of course, that's very difficult. Yeah, you know, I've never been drunk, but I do understand the concept of taking substances to medicate yourself, especially when you're feeling pain. You know, when you're experiencing pain, you take painkillers. When you have the flu, you take whatever flu medication you need that doesn't give you rashes and stuff on your body, in case you have allergies and stuff, whatever. So I can understand, you know, when you've got a problem in life, sometimes you reach out to the physical world around you, hoping that they can provide some form of relief to your interior problems. And here's the thing: sometimes that can happen. Sometimes, um, you know, drugs and stuff like that, they can be helpful. But other times, when we have a problem and it's internal, external solutions don't necessarily solve the problem. They might just make the internal problem be distracted for a little bit of time before you have to go back to it, you know? Um, so if it was something like this, if I was dealing with this type of issue, um, I know I would definitely have to talk to myself a lot, but also remind myself that this too shall pass. That this is basically the remnants of a very powerful emotion I had felt for a person. And those emotions, like all emotions, fade with time. Do you remember when you were 5 years old, Amira, and you had that toy that got taken away from you? You probably don't really remember that very well. You have pretty strong emotions at that point, just like any other child. Now, now you're a little bit older and you're dealing with more grown-up stuff. Of course, the stuff is more like relationships and not just a toy. But the emotions are still the same. You experience emotions, and emotions eventually fade with time. And I think it's important to remind ourselves of that from time to time, so that we can get a grip on ourselves and say, you know what, I just gotta trudge through this, and that emotion with time will fade. And here's the thing: when it's something like this, when it's a human being that you are extremely attached to, um, that emotion sometimes it can fade in like a day. Not likely. Sometimes it can take a year, um, and sometimes it can take maybe even a little bit longer than that. Um, but a lot of it depends on you. How often are you reflecting on this particular situation? If you're rather, if you're reminding yourself constantly of this pain, then the pain is probably going to last longer. Um, if you now in this case, this is one of those situations where if you distract yourself away from, so that you're not creating a habit of focusing on this all the time, because that's the trap that you fall into. If you create a habit of focusing on this pain, um, then you're just going to be continuously focusing on that every day. And eventually that'll just wear you out to the point where you are probably where you are right now. And then it'll just keep on going, um, because you have established in your mind a habit of focusing on this person, and then the pain that's associated with that with the with the choices you've made there, which I won't disagree with. I think they're probably good choices. Uh, but suffering through those choices, even though the choices were good, can be hard. So it's better to establish a new habit and remove that habit of focusing on that person from yourself. That way, you can actually get over it. Um, because if you never stop thinking about it, then you're never going to stop thinking about it. You're never going to stop feeling that pain, really. Um, but if you can stop thinking about it and stop focusing on that, when you reapproach it later in life, it won't have that pain attached to it, because it won't trigger your emotions, if you will, the same way that it does right now. Or there might be a subtle pain, but it will be one that feels all right. Sometimes pain can feel okay. Sometimes it's okay to be sorrowful. Um, but yeah, right now you say you're not, you feel like nothing more than an empty vessel. Yeah, I can imagine. You've probably completely worn yourself out. You've worn your psyche completely out. You feel like you're just a body and emotions of pain, and that's about it. You're like, I can imagine, and I've been there before. So you have to, um, um, you're going to alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant, makes you feel even worse the day after.
Mhm.
Uh, so alcohol
Yes.
isn't the route to go. I wouldn't take substances that change your mind, because those are only temporary, and the repercussions are always more. They're always worse than than they uh, than if you didn't take them at all. But
Mhm.
doing things that are productive, focusing on something like career, hobbies, new friendships, juggling, learning magic tricks, card
Mhm.
tricks, learning how to fold a blanket into the perfect blanket in under uh, 20 seconds. I don't know. But my point is, if you can be productive with your time instead, that's going to be the most effective route to overcoming this issue. Because, like I said before, you've trained your mind to have a habit of thinking of a painful situation. And so you've trained your mind to be depressed, unfortunately. So you have to retrain your mind to get away from that habit, away from the focusing on that person every single day. in every single moment and it destroying you inside. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. And I would suggest something that's productive. Fight for a goal. Think of something you want to do with your life. Think of a, hobby that you really enjoy. I can understand that feeling of like, I don't want to do anything. But here's the thing. If you want to change this habit, you got to start doing something. And that something is going to make you feel better than if you don't do anything at all. We've said it before. The worst thing you can do sometimes is just lay around in bed. You have that desire like, oh my gosh, I feel like crap. I'm just going to go lay down in bed. That's the worst thing you can do, because then you just stay there and then you feel even worse about yourself. So even though you don't feel like doing anything else, the best thing you can do is do something else in this situation and try to remain positive. I know that could be hard, but I know you can do it. Again, lastly, I know we've talked about this before, try to find the things you're thankful for in life. That stuff is important. Every night before you go to bed, if you can, or when you wake up in the morning, whatever, or both, doesn't matter. Think about things that you're thankful of. Count a special number to you, whatever your favorite number is. Hopefully it's not a large one. My favorite number is 182. All right. Things that you can be thankful for. Start slow, start with 3, and then maybe work your way up to 10, 15. If you really want to be audacious, whatever, you can do 15, but just start with 3 things that you're legitimately thankful of. And if it's hard to find those things at first, good. That means you're really thinking hard about it. And I want you to do that. I think that would be really helpful. But in the end, make sure you think of 3 things. Don't give up until you find 3. But anyways, that's what I'm going to leave it at. And I'm going to let the soothing voice of Joe Anderson lead you the rest of the way down this journey of self-improvement.
The soothing voice of Joe Anderson. You
got to sing it then.
I know, exactly. It's hilarious that you mentioned that, because one of my sons, we were sitting there talking, and then we were singing one of the songs. He's learning the recorder in school, and so I sang one of the songs that he's playing on the recorder, and he and I sang it, and he's like, "Dad, what? How is your singing voice so beautiful, but your talking voice is so ugly?"
Even.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Because when you sing, it doesn't even sound like you. When you sing, it sounds so amazing, but then when you talk, it's all crackly and ugly sounding." And I was like, I don't know. That's just how I was made. It's just how my voice was, so, hey, that's all right. So we had a really good laugh over that. But there obviously is a book I think of for just about every topic. And so I'm going to post a link to it here.
Nice. Joe, nice.
This is a link to The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And the reason I put this book in here is not necessarily, sometimes we're not ready for everything that a book offers, but it can be in there. And the reason I wanted to put this out there is because, one, I understand how you feel, Amir. I understand what it's like to be in a pit. I understand what it feels like to be in despair. And also, it was very good of you that you noticed that drinking wasn't going to help. You went through the process of discovering that drinking didn't help. In fact, drinking was one of the contributing factors to me having my nervous breakdown when I was in college, because I had just kind of lost hope of doing anything in college, and I started to just sit there in my dorm room and drink. Like I'd sleep really, really late. I'd go to bed I'd finally fall asleep at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd sleep till noon. I'd sleep through all my classes. I'd get up and I'd go down to the cafeteria and I'd eat. And I'd go back up to the dorm and I'd listen to some pretty depressing music probably, or something. Or I might go to the practice room and practice for a little while, walk around campus, and then I would sit in my dorm room and drink. And I'd drink until really, really late. And then I'd, fall, and then I'd pass out and then do it all over again the next day. And what, like Ryan was saying, alcohol is a depressant. So if you're already depressed, it's just going to make you further depressed. Like your depression is going to get deeper if you drink. So I'm really glad you discovered that drinking wasn't going to help you. But the reason I wanted to talk about the Miracle Morning is because there are 6 things that are in there. And if you chose to do any one of these 6 things, it would help you. I understand you may be thinking that there's nothing to be happy or thankful for in your life. And I know that it might feel like that. But really, we all have something to be thankful for. I mean, something as simple as the fact that I get to wear a shirt. I did a missions trip in Haiti one year. I went down there to help build a school in Haiti. And we were off of the mainland of Haiti. The mainland of Haiti is just impoverished like crazy, like poverty stricken. But then we went to an island off the coast of Haiti, which was even more so. I mean, they were detached from it. And I mean, you would see, I mean, most of the kids just ran around there naked. They had no clothes. Nothing. They didn't have clothes until they were like 5 years old or something. They were just all running around naked. They had no clothes. And then the people who did have clothes, they'd have like one set of clothes. And that was it. And then they'd have to go and, they'd have to go down somewhere in private to take their clothes off and wash their clothes while they wash their clothes at the same time, and then put them back on because that was the clothes they had. Or maybe they had one change of clothes so they could do that. But I mean, so they had like nothing. But boy, they knew how to climb a palm tree and knock down some coconuts, take their machete, lop off a corner of the coconut to open it up so you could drink the coconut milk from it. Oh man, it was so wonderful and good. And the younger coconuts, when the meat is still like rubbery inside. So good. But so just the fact, I mean, if you live in a place where you have access to an electronic device where you can watch something on YouTube, you probably have something to be thankful for. I mean, you're here. There's electricity running to you somehow. I mean, out there where we were building that school, the only way we had electricity was to run a generator. The only way to run that generator was to have gasoline that had taken a 2-hour boat ride from the mainland to the island, and someone would go and then walk it 45 minutes from the beach into this village so they have gas to put in the generator to turn on the lights so they could have a church service or something. I mean, it was crazy. But so we can have that, like when you experience third world countries, it's like, wow, just the material things we have, we can be thankful for. Absolutely. But anyway, so I got off track. The Miracle Morning, and I'll post the link again right here because that's what it is. The 6 things that you can do. There's meditating or spending some time in silence, and that can be prayer or meditation. There's some kind of an affirmation. Now, you may not have an affirmation that you can write right now. I mean, when you're in a spot like you're in, it's tough to come up with an affirmation. So that one might be off the table right now. Then there's visualization. Visualization is great because, I mean, if you spend time, you can sit there and you can close your eyes and do some deep breathing, and you can start visualizing a better future than what you're living right now. You can start visualizing being an experience, even if it's something that's a memory of yours that you want to relive again. It can strengthen a good memory to visualize it again. Or you can create a good memory by inventing it and then visualizing it and get all your senses involved. Sight, smell, taste, touch, all of it. What's it feel like? What's it smell like? What's the air taste like in where you're at? What's all that? You just relive that memory or come up with a new one and experience it fully. You can do that visualization. Another one, you can do some reading. Pick a good book and read it. I've made lots of book recommendations. You can pick another book that, if you have one that gives you a good feeling inside, maybe a story that tells something that's uplifting to you. I would stay away from stuff that's depressing. There are some books out there that are just absolutely ridiculously depressing, and I would stay away from stuff like that when you're in this state. But reading is another habit. Writing, so like writing in a journal. Those are things that you can do. That's another thing that can help you to clarify the thoughts that you have in your head. You can really clarify stuff by journaling. And then the last one is exercise. And honestly, that's probably the one I would start with. I know when I was depressed, when I was severely depressed and struggling and not feeling like I had anything to live for, not feeling like I had anything that I could look back on and be happy about, feeling like I had nothing to be thankful for, and my life was just a big piece of junk and it needed to end. The best thing that could happen in my life would be to end it. I remember being there. And the best thing I could have done was start exercising. And it was also the last thing I wanted to do was exercise, because I really wanted to just lay around all day and do nothing. But what I really needed was someone to just shake me a little bit and say, hey, you know what? You know how big of a deal it'll be if you just go out and walk or run or do some stretching or do something physical that gets your blood flowing, that gets oxygen, makes you breathe a little bit heavier to get oxygen going. It helps clarify things. It's amazing. Like, you can just, it changes your whole mental picture when you do something physically. And everything can change in your life. Now, sometimes people are in a pit and they like being in that pit, and there's really nothing I can do. There's nothing I can say to them. And there were times when I was depressed that there was nothing anybody could say because I was wallowing in my self-pity. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's what you're doing here, Amira. I just know that that's what I was doing from time to time. And in those moments, there was nothing that anybody could say that was going to help. But I sincerely believe if you're posting something here, Amira, you sincerely want some help to try and improve, to try and get this situation to be a little bit better. And I'm telling you, if you really, truly want the situation to be better, the very first thing to do is something physically. Get up and walk, get up and do some jumping jacks, get up and do some stretching, get up and do something that gets the blood pumping through your body a little bit faster. So then you can kind of refresh yourself that way. And from there, you can start to figure out things that you're thankful for. You can start to figure out things that you're looking forward to. You start to think about things you want to write about. And from that point, you can really start to build and you can move toward the future in a great way. One of the best things to remember is when you hit rock bottom, there's no other direction to go but up. what's the saying? A person at the bottom need fear no fall. If you've fallen to the point where you're at the absolute bottom and you feel like you're just in a pit, you know what? You can't fall any farther. The only way you can only go up from there. And if you can look up, you can get up. And if you can get up, you can walk. If you can walk, you can run. If you can run, you can probably fly.
And if you can fly.
And if you can fly, man. What's that?
You can probably teleport. That's the next one, I guess. You can teleport. I don't know what you can time shift.
Yeah. Yep. So I totally understand where you're at, Amira. I've been there before. And I appreciate you reaching out. And I appreciate the fact that you took the time to reach out. And that tells me that you want things to be better. And if you do, I'm telling you, things can be better. But I would start with something physical. Drachi, also known as Golden Dragon Play, said another possibility is listen to music, try to put your feelings in it. Yep. That's what helped me conquer my emotional dependency that made me suicidal at that time. Yeah, absolutely. And you can listen to Static P. Go to the Static P channel. Listen to the whole Criminal Idol series. And exercise when you do it. I do that. There are times when I'm doing my morning workout, I'll throw in this, I'll just go to YouTube and I'll go to the Static P channel and I'll just play through the Criminal Idol playlist while I'm exercising. And now it's long enough that I'm done exercising before it's done.
Yay.
And there's going to be even more.
Yeah.
Jack says, don't you sometimes wish Don't Worry Wednesday was on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday too? And Jesse says, I think we all do. Yes, we would like it to be. But we need to, there's some things we need to do in order to make that happen because we got full-time stuff going on, in order. So this would have to be our jobs in order to do that probably. But yeah. You guys mean a lot to us. And Amira, you mean a lot to us. And it means a lot that you take the time to reach out. I know how hard it is. I know it's a really tough position to be in. But you can beat it. You absolutely can. It's going to take changing the mind frame of where you're at. And you can. Amira says, I work. That's my exercise routine. I understand. I understand. There are some jobs out there that are very labor intensive. But if you take 5 minutes in the morning and do some stretching and some jumping jacks. In fact, I just saw right before this stream, I saw a 4-minute workout or something like that. That's supposed to replace an hour at the gym. And I'm like, I'm going to try that one because I'm way too busy to spend all this time exercising. I need to get it down to a 4-minute workout. It sounds perfect. But yeah,
go climb a tree yourself.
Go climb a tree. There you can. You can do that. That's fun. So anyway, Amira, I sure hope some of that helped you. I know depending on where you're at, sometimes it's tough. And remember also, when I was in the position where you are now, it took professional help to move me forward.
Go chase a squirrel.
After I dropped out of college, after going through the time of being depressed and drinking and making it worse and worse, I needed to see a professional. I needed to find a professional therapist. And that really helped. That moved me through that season. And, perhaps that's where you need to go at this point, because I know sometimes in those moments when you can't see any light at all, it takes picking up the phone and calling and making an appointment with a therapist. One of these times we'll find, I'm going to make it a point to actually find a good online resource for some professional therapy or something. Someplace we can direct you guys to. I know there's a few of them out there, and they cost different amounts, whatever. Sometimes they're subscription based, sometimes, but you're actually dealing with a professional therapist, and that can really be helpful.
The professionals know what they're doing better than we do. And they can actually dedicate more time to you than we can, for example.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So Amira, hopefully some of that was helpful, and feel free to private message me. You can direct message me on Discord, or on the website. You can just send me a message, just find me and then send me a private message. And if you want to talk some more, we can do that. I can try and find some professional resources for you to hopefully find a direction for you to go in, and I'd be happy to share some of that with you. So, but hopefully some of that was helpful, Amira. I'm sorry if it wasn't. But anyway, Ryan, did you have anything else?
No, but thank you. Thanks, Amira. And yeah, you can get through this, and I hope that you do quickly for your own sake. And don't be afraid of reaching out to professionals if you need. But if you find the courage and strength to just decide to change your tune, change your attitude, and look at the world like from a different perspective, then maybe you won't need a professional, and you'll just be able to do it yourself. I think that's up to you, though. You gotta make that decision one way or another. So, but either way, I know that you can do it, and I believe in you. And thank you for sharing with us.
Absolutely.
We love you.
We love you, Amira. Yes. So speaking of changing your tune.
Oh, you know the one. This is the one. Put your hands in the air. Wait. That is
Put
wrong.
Your hands on the floor.
Put your hands on the floor. Put your butt in the air. Wiggle around like you just don't care. Oh yes.
What?
No one. All right, bye guys. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Wait, this isn't my part. This is Joe's part. Hold on. He's the host.
Huh? Yeah. No, thank you guys very much for being here. You guys are awesome. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed your time on Don't Worry Wednesday. We will be here on Friday, and so will you. Put it in your calendar and come back and hit the notification bell, and we'll be here Friday evening, and you'll have a much better host. It'll be Ryan. And
you're gonna host next time.
Thanks again to Jesse and Princess for all the work you guys do producing the show and running the chat room. You guys are amazing. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
We love you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Peace.